Hello, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. We're going to allow a few moments for everyone to trickle in. Once everybody trickles in, we'll get started with today's content. Lots of people are joining. Welcome, welcome. We're going to give everybody just a couple of minutes to trickle in, and then we'll begin today's content. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome to Developing Our Sales Edge session number 10. My name is Alex White here with the Revenue Enablement Department. Today, I am elated to introduce Nabi Mitri, our Senior Product Manager, to talk to us a little bit about some AI readiness and knowledge enrichment. As I've just stated, that is the content and the topic of today's session, and we'll end that, keep it short and sweet with just some Q&A. A couple of quick reminders before we get Nabi on the screen. Number one, the way that we gather questions is through the Q&A function. Please make sure that if you have any questions for Nabi during today's session, that you put it in the Q&A feature so we can track the questions that are being responded to live and get a receipt out on Sales Edge for you to review at a later date. Additionally, last week's quiz from last week's session is due today. So if you haven't taken that yet, please do so. There's going to be a link provided in the chat now. You can also find it out on Academy Weekly, or you can go out to the Sales Edge page in HighSpot and find the quiz there. All right, team. Let's get ready to level up your brain power because it's time to hear from one of the masterminds behind some of the smartest features in our product line. He's here to break down knowledge enrichment, what it is, why it matters, and how it's going to help you sell even smarter. Please join me in giving him a big virtual round of applause and welcome. Use those reaction buttons now. Nabi, our very own PM powerhouse, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Alex.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and discontinue sharing, and you have the floor, sir.
Okay, so before I begin, I wanted to tell a little story. So a couple months ago, I got a phone call on my work phone. I rarely answer calls on it because no one ever calls it other than spam numbers. But this day, I decided to answer. The first thing I heard was, "Hey, Nabi, this is Rob Krause." I was so confused, thinking, did Rob actually call me on a phone? Like a real phone? He went on to tell me that he was at a conference and that he's seeing the importance of what we're building with knowledge enrichment. He wanted to tell me how excited he was and how we need to make sure that we're able to help everyone understand its impact and how important it is for Highland and our customers. So over the weekend, I was thinking about this conversation and I decided to throw away everything I had prepared for this presentation and put together something to make sure I lived up to what Rob was looking for. So, Alex, Erica, Rohan, please don't be mad. So instead of AI readiness and Highland knowledge enrichment, I'm going to present Rob's Data Life Raft, your guide to not drowning in data. Let's get started. So we've heard this all the time over the past year or so, and if you know my background, even longer than that for me. 80% of data is unstructured. Only 10% of that unstructured data is used in AI. And only a small 33% of organizations are actually able to use unstructured data in AI use cases. Not because they don't want to, but because it's been difficult. So we throw those numbers around all the time. 80% of the world's data is unstructured. 80% of the world can't define what unstructured data actually is. So let's talk about it. Let's start with unstructured data. So this is that free-form data that doesn't follow any consistent structure or predefined schema. Think of it like a conversation. It flows naturally, but every piece looks different. It can be emails, PDFs, even presentations like this one, because, well, there's definitely no structure for how I present things, given that I didn't even provide an agenda. And here's the important piece. Unstructured data can have the richest meaning and context, but that free-flowing nature is what makes it hard for machines to understand. Then you have structured data, which is the complete opposite. This is that pre-organized, that consistently formatted data. Think databases and spreadsheets, where most things are in rows and columns. So how does all of this tie back to enterprise AI? It's because content, primarily unstructured content, is the core piece of everyone's business. So your content, whether it's invoices, emails, policies and procedures, drawings, images, or videos, gives AI the proper context so it can effectively work for you. But no matter where content is stored, it's not in formats that can be used effectively by AI models. This is where AI-ready data comes in. In a process that involves transforming content into structured, high-quality AI-ready data, along with enriched content, your PDFs, your emails, and presentations now become usable and actionable for AI. And when you have AI-ready data, AI-powered search tools can surface more accurate insights across multiple repositories and file types. And AI agents thrive on AI-ready data. With a deeper understanding of your content and business context, AI agents can take action and make decisions more confidently. And once you have effective AI systems in place, you can create agentic applications, which are end-to-end AI-driven solutions that are designed to work the way you do business. So it all starts with trusted content, which leads us to trusted automation and insights, which takes us to trusted outcomes. So let's dive into what AI-ready data actually means. So I have this slide that looks nice and the information is good, but I don't want to use it. I want to break it down more to keep it as simple as possible. And even this is a little bit too much. So let's focus on these 5 key concepts. Your data needs to be meaningful, so we enrich it with context and domain knowledge. Your data needs to be organized, so we structure it. Your data needs to be context aware, so we relate information together. Your data needs to be easy to find and use, so we catalog it. And your data needs to be high quality, so we clean and validate it. All of this together gives you AI-ready data that can be trusted by all of your systems. So we've been talking about data, but things are always easier to understand with real-life examples. So here I have an example of how the quality of data can greatly impact the output of a system. So this is a recipe for a meringue cake. If anyone has followed the recipe before, you can tell that something just isn't really right. So the ingredients mention a secret ingredient. The instructions don't mention what temperature to set the oven to. It even mentions whipped cream, but didn't give directions for making them. This can only lead to disaster. Then this broken cake is what happens to the output that an AI system will give if you don't use AI-ready data. Please don't be that person that uses bad data. Now, let's see what good AI-ready data can do. So here we have, again, a recipe for a meringue cake. But this time, it has a very detailed ingredients list and clear instructions that are detailed enough where they won't even fit on the screen. The amount of detail and context in this recipe is the key to a great outcome. Now, this cake looks so much better than the last one. And with knowledge enrichment, it can help get your data in a state to create outcomes as delicious as this cake. So what actually is knowledge enrichment? So at its core, it's about transforming messy, unstructured content into clean, structured, and contextualized data, ready to plug into AI systems, automation workflows, or anything else that can fit on Rob's boat. And no, this isn't just about better search results or better tags. It's about making your content work like data, so it can be analyzed, automated, and trusted in your decision-making workflows. So the Knowledge Enrichment Suite, yes, I said suite, includes two separate products that are available to be purchased individually. It has Knowledge Enrichment, which consists of two separate main functionalities, being data curation and context enrichment. But then it also now has document filters, a long-standing product that we've now brought under the Knowledge Enrichment branding. So knowledge enrichment is designed for builders, people creating AI systems, intelligent workflows, and automation platforms. Whether you're developing agents, integrating large language models, or just trying to make sense of messy documents, knowledge enrichment gives you the foundation you need. It's currently delivered as a set of SaaS-based APIs, split into two key parts. Data curation, which transforms raw, unstructured content into clean, structured, AI-ready data. Context enrichment is in the piece that adds the surrounding meaning and context, so systems don't just process information, they actually understand it. This is for teams who need to work with real-world, unstructured content and make it usable by modern AI and automation systems. Now, let's talk about document filters. Document filters is built for developers and platform teams who need reliable control over document processing without depending on black box tools. If you're working with PDFs, Apple formats, or legacy files, you know how hard it is to extract usable data without losing structure or context. Document filters changes that. It gives you high fidelity extraction across over 600 different file formats, pulling not just the text, but the full structure, tables, headers, links, and formatting. It's designed to slot directly into your architecture, whether that's cloud native, on-prem, or at the edge, with zero external dependencies. So if your team needs precision, portability, and full control over how content is extracted and cleaned, document filters is the tool. Now, one of the questions we hear a lot is, which one should someone use, knowledge enrichment or document filters? And the answer really depends on how much control someone wants over their pipeline. So if an organization is looking for an easy API-based way to go from unstructured content to AI-ready data, something that handles the extraction and the enrichment in one step, that's where knowledge enrichment shines. It's ideal for teams building RAG pipelines, AI agents, or knowledge graphs, especially when you need to understand relationships between entities, documents, or concepts, but don't want to manage the low-level extraction yourself. On the other hand, if you're someone who needs precision and control, document filters is likely the better fit. It gives you full control over how content is extracted and transformed, and you can run it entirely within your infrastructure, whether that's on-prem, cloud, or offline. It's great when you've already got downstream enrichment tools or a custom AI pipeline in place, and you just need clean, structured content to feed into them. So think of it this way. Use knowledge enrichment when you want AI-ready data fast without managing all the internals. Use document filters when you want control over every step and already have your own enrichment pipeline. So both tools are powerful. The key is choosing the one that aligns best with your technical goals. Now let's take a closer look at what's actually included in the knowledge enrichment feature set and what makes it so unique. So at a high level, it's all about taking unstructured content and making it usable by AI systems. Not just readable, but understandable. Here's how it works. So first, it handles contextual text chunking, breaking content down in smart, meaningful ways so large language models can actually process it effectively. You're not just splitting pages or paragraphs. It's semantically aware. And then we include embedded positional information in the output. That means every piece of content carries positional data. So downstream systems can understand where things appeared on the page. And that's critical for layout-aware use cases like form understanding, region-based classification, or table mapping. Oh, and did I mention that we support content across over 600 different file formats? So PDFs and Microsoft Office files to Apple iWorks documents, even WordPerfect relics from Rob's childhood. And it's not just documents. We handle images, audio, and video files too. And then we can generate rich metadata, not just basic fields, but contextual and AI-enriched metadata that helps with classification, with search, and downstream analysis. And finally, we deliver AI-ready outputs in formats like Markdown or JSON, so you can plug it directly into your retrieval systems, your vector databases, your LLMs, or even your analytics tools without having to clean it first. So whether you're building agents, search apps, or analytical models, this is content that's ready to work. Now, after all of that talking about knowledge enrichment, what it can do and what it can lead to, it's only fair to ask the question, what makes it different? So knowledge enrichment combines precision extraction with spatial context to create smarter, trusted AI pipelines. So first, we start with extraction quality, powered not by LLMs, but by Highland document filters. And this is an important distinction. While LLMs can be impressive, they're not designed for high-fidelity content extraction. We are. Our technology performs clean, precise extraction across over 600 file formats. It's not just about grabbing text. It captures tables, formatting, structure, layout, even positioning, all while being lightweight. Which brings me to the next point. Structure and precision are preserved. We don't give you a blob of text and ask you to figure it out. If a table exists in a document, it comes out as a table. Headers stay headers. Lists stay lists. Sections are recognized. That means your outputs are ready to use right out of the box. There's no need for extra cleaning, formatting, or post-processing. And it's a huge time saver and it reduces downstream errors in AI pipelines. And finally, positional intelligence is embedded directly into the output. Whether you're working with JSON or Markdown, our outputs include context about where each element was located on the page. This enables layout-aware AI workflows. You can do table to schema mapping. You can associate text with its visual grouping on the page. You can build agents that don't just read documents, but visually understand them. That's why this isn't just another enrichment tool. It's a foundation for smarter, more reliable AI systems that understand not just what the content says, but how it's structured, where it belongs, and why it matters. Now let's talk about who this is for and how different teams across an enterprise can benefit. So knowledge enrichment is a horizontal product. It applies to all industries and is built for a global market. So later, we'll look at some specific industry use cases. But for now, just know that this isn't limited to one vertical. Wherever unstructured content is slowing down AI initiatives, this applies. What matters more is who we're selling to and what they're trying to do. So on the buyer side, we're seeing strong interest from IT leaders, those CDOs, those CIOs, and VPs of IT, who are looking to modernize infrastructure, improve governance, and fuel AI pipelines. From a user perspective, it's used by data engineers, developers, and data scientists who want to stop figuring out how to work with emails and actually start building something. And in terms of target markets, we're focused on teams building agentic and AI-driven workflows, organizations trying to integrate content into data platforms, and partners or OEMs who want to embed enrichment directly into their solutions. This is the connective layer between content and modern AI. So I have this slide here just for reference. It has a lot more detail on the personas and what kind of messaging to use. So please take screenshots, a picture with your phone, or just download the slides after this so you can ingest them into knowledge discovery. Maybe ingest the recording as well, since video is one of the over 600 different file formats supported. And go ahead and start asking your questions. So let's talk about how to recognize when a customer is a good fit for knowledge enrichment and how to guide the conversation. So we'll walk through this in parts, starting with what to look for. So these are the signals that the opportunity is there, even if the customer doesn't know it yet. So are data scientists asking for access to ECM content like PDFs, scanned documents, or reports? That's a clear sign they're hitting a wall with unstructured data. Are there teams experimenting with LLMs or Gen AI, but struggling to move from prototype to production? Do they mention using platforms like Databricks, SageMaker, or Snowflake? That usually means they're invested in structured data infrastructure, and now they're trying to integrate unstructured sources. Are structured data teams asking for access to documents? That's your opening, because their tools weren't designed for PDFs and emails. And finally, listen for signs of friction, slow ingestion, messy formatting, duplicated efforts, and cleaning content for downstream systems. That's where we come in. Next, we have the conversations. These are great questions to use early in the sales cycle. You can ask, how do you get unstructured content into your systems? If the answer is we don't, or it's manual, that's your green light. You can try, where does content slow down your AI workflows? That usually surfaces pain points around cleaning, chunking, and mapping. You can also ask, do your structured data tools need access to document content? Or are you linking documents across departments or systems? Both of these uncover gaps we can help fill, especially around context and governance. Then once the pain is clear, here's what to emphasize. We turn content into structured AI-ready data. And that's the heart of it. Our output fits cleanly into their existing data stack. No need to rip and replace. We don't just extract. We'll add industry-specific context and metadata so they get better insights and more trustworthy results. It's all about faster time to value, fewer surprises downstream, and outputs they can actually use. And then coming soon, no model lock-in. They stay in control of what tech is used with our output. And finally, why we win. We curate content with domain-specific structure. It's not just plain text. It's data that carries meaning. We can federate content across silos and systems so teams get a connected view, not just isolated outputs. And our delivery formats, Markdown and JSON, are designed to drop directly into any AI or analytics pipeline. And soon, we'll enable cross-document relationships and concept linking, giving you even more context and insights around your content. So let's take a look at how knowledge enrichment is being positioned in the field across different kinds of organizations and technical strategies. So I'll walk through 3 real-world cases, each with a distinct buying motion and message. So first is NYU Langone. They've got an advanced in-house team building their own LLMs and applications. They don't need us to do model work. They already have that handled. What they need is clean and rich content, structured inputs that won't break their pipelines or bias their models. So the positioning here is simple. We are the data provider, delivering high quality contextualized content so their models can perform better. No assumptions, no lock-in, just trusted inputs. And then next is Erie Insurance. So this is a great example of collaboration between business units and AI teams. They're working through complex legal scenarios and using AI and ML models with content coming from OnBase. But the challenge is bridging the gap between unstructured business documents and their AI pipelines. So here we position knowledge enrichment as that bridge, the connective layer between raw content and their in-house AI. And we emphasize flexibility. They don't have to use our full stack. We just help them curate and structure what they already have. And then finally, we have companies like Liberty Mutual and Pure Insurance. These are organizations that have invested heavily in platforms like AWS, Databricks, and Snowflake. They're already committed to a federated data strategy. Now they're trying to unify content sources. So the message here is we fit into that strategy. We're not trying to replace what they've built. We offer flexible, interoperable enrichment services that plug right in. No friction, no disruption. So with that context, let's dive deeper into a specific industry scenario. So here's a common scenario we see in the insurance space, especially in property claims. So we've got a claim file that includes inspection reports, handwritten notes, photos, and third-party PDFs, all bundled together. That's mixed content, and it's a nightmare for automation. Now let's talk about the challenge. So the important information is buried. It's hard to search, harder to analyze, and even harder to process consistently. Reviewing these files takes time. Manual work slows down the claim, which means longer cycle times, higher costs, and delays for the policyholder. Now, here's how knowledge enrichment helps. It can handle all of those content types, not just forms or text, reports, photos, handwritten notes, PDFs. They're all extracted, structured, and standardized. It also preserves the original layout and meaning, things like tables, captions, side notes, even the order of information. That structure matters when you're trying to make smart, automated decisions. And we go a step further by adding positional metadata, so downstream systems can understand where each element came from on the page. And that is critical for spatial reasoning, damage diagrams, or regional workflows. So what's the actual value? You get trusted, structured data that can be used to automate decisions, support risk scoring, assist with fraud detection, or even just pre-filled downstream systems. Now, let's talk about pricing and how this all translates into real-world value for customers. So knowledge enrichment is priced by usage and a flat fee. So there are two core components for how usage is tracked: curation and enrichment. And pricing is based on the type of content being processed. Under curation, you're transforming raw content, things like PDFs, images, or media, into clean, structured data with costs varying by file format. Then you have enrichment, which layers in metadata and semantic context on top of the curated data. So this model scales with the customer's needs, whether they're running pilots, powering production workflows, or embedding enrichment into larger AI systems. And then soon we'll be providing examples for how this can be quoted for customers. Now, I've talked a lot about knowledge enrichment on its own and how people can benefit from it. But how can it tie into other Highland products? So I say this a lot. Knowledge enrichment supports over 600 different file formats. So it only made sense that the first offering we put it into was knowledge discovery. We've begun using knowledge enrichment within knowledge discovery to curate content, and the results have been phenomenal. But don't take my word for it. Let's see. So what we're going to see here is a comparison of the output you get from knowledge discovery using two different data preparation pipelines. The first will be an industry standard, and the second will be Highland's own knowledge enrichment. So we'll start out by asking a question that we want to know the answer to. And you can see that the system wasn't able to provide an answer. So we're going to switch to use knowledge enrichment and then see what we get after that switch. Now that is a huge difference. Using an industry standard solution wasn't able to provide meaningful information. But just the simple switch to using knowledge enrichment to provide the system with good data completely changed the result. It's the cake situation all over again. So much of the discussion in AI right now is around AI agents. So let's talk about how knowledge enrichment can perform the context an agent needs to perform its action. And of course, the next step at Highland is embedding knowledge enrichment into our upcoming agent builder. So we'll look at a commercial industry example, but it can be applied to others as well. Oh, and once these slides are made available on HighSpot, there will be a few more examples available in there too, along with the sales kit. So here we have an organization's apparel style guide. Notice the structure of the document has headings, bold text, paragraphs, and lists. These aren't just visual elements. They reflect how the author intended the content to be read and understood. And with knowledge enrichment, we take this kind of formatted content from any of our over 600 supported file formats and transform it into a consistent, structured output that's perfect for LLMs. And in this case, we've converted it to Markdown, a lightweight format that preserves structure and is ideal for AI models. What's critical here is how we do it. We're not converting the file to another format. We're not relying on OCR for text-based documents. And we're not using AI to extract the data. We're pulling the actual content directly from the source file. That means we retain the structure, preserve the context, and keep the author's intent fully intact. Because when you use these other methods, you lose valuable insights. This provides a great foundation for things like knowledge discovery that we saw earlier. But that's not all. We're just getting started. Now let's turn up the intelligence. We take that same document and run it through context enrichment. We can extract basic metadata like the document type and color codes that are clearly defined, but the magic happens when we go deeper. We start to infer meaning. We learn that this document offers guidelines around apparel design. We identify the required components. We can even detect constraints like which elements not to include in the design. This isn't just helpful, it's transformative. It gives your systems a level of understanding that unlocks smarter decisions, faster workflows, and helps prevent mistakes. And when there's an apparel style guide, there also tends to be artwork for that apparel. We can enrich that too. We can analyze the artwork and tell you more information, sometimes even things that a person wouldn't notice. We can determine the style components, design aspects, and compliance requirements. Now, each file on its own is useful, but why stop there? It's like having two puzzle pieces. You can admire them separately, or you can snap them together and see the bigger picture. And that'll be a yippee-ki-yay mother fashion moment if I have ever seen one. Now comes the fun part, actually doing something with all this enriched data. With knowledge enrichment, we structured two unstructured documents and generated AI-enriched metadata for both. Now we can feed that data into an AI agent, a brand compliance agent that compares the organization's apparel style guide to the artwork for that apparel. We're checking alignment, surfacing inconsistencies, and automating compliance checks, all using the structured contextual data from knowledge enrichment. And here's why the results are so much better than alternatives. The underlying data isn't just enriched, it's been curated. That's what our data curation API does. Cleaning, filtering, structuring the raw content before enrichment ever happens. So when your agents run, they're working with the right data from the start. And building this specific agent is possible with Highland's Agent Builder, or whatever else your workflows need, using the AI-ready and enriched data from knowledge enrichment. As long as we get you the right data, clean, structured, enriched, you'll be screaming yippee-ki-yay all day long. And I'm almost done, don't worry. I am tired and sweating too. I just want to talk about one more thing that we've heard people ask about, and that's knowledge enrichment and IDP. So is knowledge enrichment the same as IDP? Not at all. They solve different problems for different audiences. Let's talk about it. So knowledge enrichment is focused on transforming unstructured content, things like emails, scanned documents, reports, and PDFs, into structured, semantically rich data that can be used by AI models, analytics engines, search systems, and agents. So it's built for organizations that are trying to make sense of large volumes of messy, fragmented content. Not just extract fields, but actually understand relationships, understand the entities in the context. The value here is AI enablement, getting content ready for search, for retrieval augmented generation, knowledge graphs, and automated decision making. The typical personas are data scientists, AI ML engineers, and data stewards. People building AI-driven workflows, not just document processes. Then IDP is about automating the capture and extraction of data from semi-structured documents, like invoices, purchase orders, and forms. It's fast, it's accurate, and it's focused on reducing manual data entry. You'll hear phrases like straight-through processing and document intake automation. The value prop here is all about speed and accuracy in structured workflows. So the typical personas are business analysts, those operation managers, and line of business leaders looking to cut down on repetitive processing work. So the bottom line is both are useful. But if your content isn't already structured, if you're building AI workflows, if you need context, then knowledge enrichment is a better fit. So we called this session Rob's Data Life Raft because for a lot of teams, that's exactly what knowledge enrichment is. It's not a shiny toy or an experimental add-on. It's the foundation that keeps your AI efforts from sinking under a wave of content. It's how you move from content chaos to clarity, from data cleanup to actual insight, from potential to production. You don't need a boat. You just need the right data, clean, structured, enriched, and we'll get you there. So knowledge enrichment sets that foundation for your AI systems, for your agents, and your analytics. And it does it in a way that scales, adapts, and fits right into what you're already building. So whether you're fighting floods of content or just trying to stay above water, this is your data life raft. And let's be honest, if you don't get your data in order soon, Rob's going to call you, and he won't be as excited as when he called me. So if we still have some time left, I can take some questions, or you can just get my number from Rob.
Thank you so much, Nabi. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get those questions flowing to you now, as you do have a few actually coming through. And who knew that you were moonlighting as a comedian? You know, absolutely lots of laughter. So thank you for that. All right, let's start with an easy one. It says, is data automatically structured if it's in a platform like ours, OnBase, for example?
So data is not automatically structured. Without any CI/CD product, data in OnBase, it is documents. And then a user can add things like keywords. So those keywords help give the context about that document. So I wouldn't say that the data is structured as is. But what knowledge enrichment can do is actually help get to that point. So the keywords help infer the meaning of the document. So that's kind of like what knowledge enrichment is assisting. But with the keywords, you need a person to actually look at the document, to actually understand it themselves. But knowledge enrichment helps bridge that gap.
Perfect. Thank you. Next question. Please tell us this product is available now and that the pricing is also finalized. As a partner, we'd like to sell this to our customers immediately.
Yes, I am happy to announce that knowledge enrichment just went live today. So everything is available for anyone who wants to purchase it.
Fantastic. At some point in your presentation, you mentioned pipeline. So the question that came through is, can you explain what you mean by pipeline? I believe that's what Nabi referenced in relation to choosing between knowledge enrichment or doc filters.
Yeah, so knowledge enrichment and document filters are tools that developers and people like that use to create other systems. So when I say pipeline, I'm referring to that larger development workflow. So like that backend application where you ingest a document, you need to process that document, and then that output has to go somewhere. We, knowledge enrichment and document filters, we kind of fit in that middle piece where you're processing the content. So just depending on the needs of that workflow, that pipeline, that's how you can decide whether knowledge enrichment or document filters is the correct fit.
Perfect. Clear enough. We have back-to-back questions. This is a hot one. Can knowledge enrichment handle DICOM images?
Not yet, but that's something we can look into.
Fantastic. All right, we'll take just a few more. If one of the distinctions between knowledge enrichment and doc filters is that doc filters provides the solution builder with greater control, as you mentioned, can you talk more about the distinction of what sort of prospective customer would find it important?
Yes, absolutely. So, knowledge enrichment is built as a set of SaaS-based APIs. So it is hosted by us. In the future, there's other plans for providing more options for that. But primarily, it's our product, and we are deciding how the output is going to be structured. There'll be some options to refine it in certain ways, but at the core of it, we're saying that this is what we believe is going to give you the best output. But then with document filters, you can go beyond that. So document filters is a 20-plus-year-old product. It has so many different options, so much control, because it's seen so many different use cases. It's been embedded in so many businesses, in so many large enterprises, where it's needed to evolve to incorporate basically everything. So if you have just this weird document from 1987 that no one has heard about, and it's only structured in this way for your use case, there's a better chance that document filters is going to provide the option for you to extract that content in a more effective way than we would account for in knowledge enrichment.
Makes sense. Thank you for that. In addition to the mini demo we got to see live here today with your presentation, where can our viewers go to see this in action?
Yeah, so with it being a development tool right now, there isn't really a UI, but we do have demo UIs that can provide you to just upload a document and just see what the output could be. We don't have them like actually deployed right now. We're planning on it, but the application is available. So just reach out to me and I can help you get access to that.
Perfect. Are you up for one more?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Last question. Who would be some of the common competition alternatives that our customers would potentially be exploring that would let us know that knowledge enrichment should be evaluated alongside those options?
Yeah, so one of the main ones that I see that compares directly to knowledge enrichment right now is Llama Cloud. So I want to preface this by saying that a lot of these tools aren't going to be very common for most people unless you really live in like this developer space. So Llama Cloud is very popular in this area. I would say it's almost like one for one in terms of the customer that we're trying to get. But then most people don't really know how to use those tools right now. They're in their early stages. So a lot of what people are doing is they're taking just many different open source libraries, putting stuff together by themselves, and just to say that we did something. But the issue with that is it may work for the one document that you tested, but that's not an enterprise product. It's not able to scale and actually work with the content that enterprises are going to see. So a lot of the competition is us competing against open source tools where people are just throwing everything at it without really understanding what they're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, Nabi, so much for taking the time to give us that incredible, enthusiastic, and comedic presentation, along with answering all of these questions. We do have quite a few more, which I will kick out to you after the conclusion of this webinar so that you can answer them. And for everybody on the call listening or waiting for their answer, please note this will get kicked out onto the Sales Edge page in HighSpot. And in the session 10 section, you'll be able to see all the Q&A, and we will have Naveed himself answer those for you live so we make sure it's accurate and correct. But thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, before I let you all go, per usual, just a couple of call to actions for everyone. Coming out today on the Sales Edge page and Tuesday morning, really, US time, also in the Academy Weekly and the Partner Newsletter is going to be a new quiz for today's session and content. Please make sure that you take a moment as it is required by everyone in sales and sales roles. Secondly, a survey link has been dropped in today's chat regarding today's session content and presenter. So please take a moment or two. It should be 2 or 3 questions, so nothing too intense. And then finally, if you haven't already gotten the theme of today's session, it's head to HighSpot, people, where everything is going to live for you to get at a later date. We're going to go ahead and close this session out and let everybody have some time back. Thank you all for your time, your questions, and your enthusiasm. We'll see you next week.